Okay, right now we're going to look at Kid Chaos from 1994. It was a great year for Amiga games. You know, they were really pushing the OCS, ECS chipset by that point. They'd become experts at it. And yeah, this was Magnetic Fields. So Sean Southern and Andrew Morris, who made Lotus and Lotus 2 and were famous for that. They made this game, and it's probably the Amiga's closest rival to Sonic. And right now, Reassembler is trying to do a Sonic port to the Amiga. He's starting with the 1200, and then he's hoping to do the 500. So I thought it would be a good time to look at Kid Chaos, which is technically probably the most advanced one. There's also Blaze, which is only a one level demo, but it has some really nice effects too, but it's only 25 frames per second. Then you've got Mr. Nuts, which is a very cool game too. Um, its screen is a little bit smaller than Kid Chaos, so I think Kid Chaos is probably the most technically advanced one. So let's take a look at how it ticks. If you haven't seen it before, here it is moving. And yeah, it's a little bit slower in the emulator than in real life, but yeah, let's see what it's doing under the hood. So if we get rid of all the bit planes, there's the sprites, and look at the copper back there. We'll have more to say about that in a minute. But yeah, let's take off all the sprites and go one by one. So we've got half of Kid Chaos, and there's 15 colors, and then another half, and starting to do the scoreboard over here with the same sprite. And you got his club and the scores. And there you go. There's all the sprites together. And then it's in dual playfield mode. So let's put the sprites back on. And the bit planes, if we do take them all off and go 0, 2, and 4, and you get the foreground. So that's just the foreground there. And then if we switch it over here, back on to 1, 3, and 5, then we've just got the background. Oh, I got hit. So the interesting thing about this is that I have 1, 3, and 5 on, but actually if you take 5 off, it should do nothing. Yeah, look at it. It does nothing because what is happening here is that dual playfield is usually 6 bit planes, 3 odd and 3 even, 2 separate playfields. But in Kid Chaos's case, it has 3 bit planes for the foreground, which is normal, and that would be 7 colors. And then it only has 2 bit planes for the background, which is 4 colors. The thing about that is that I think it was used to make it a little bit quicker to have 1 less bit plane. But if you look at that background right now, what we're looking at, that's only 4 colors per scan line. And that includes the copper colors. So if you take the bit plane off again, yeah, see, this is 1 color here that in the copper, and it switches throughout. You've only got 3 colors per scan line. But then if you look at this little part, you've got, say, the light brown, the dark brown, dark green, and light green all on the same scan line, which was 4 colors. So the way they do that is if you take all the bit planes off, you'll see this color was made by the copper as just a solid color that stays in the background. So that is one of the 4 colors. So they just do this throughout the entire background, and that compensates for an extra color in certain areas. You can see it pretty well here when you go down a bit. Okay, now I've gone down a bit, and you can see when you jump here, you see the red flowers in the background. So you think that those are just, drawn there as red flowers. But if you take the bit planes off, then you've got these red strips and also the green strips. So those poke through and become the flowers in those areas. If you put the Blitter visualizer on, you'll see that the animated bricks are blitz, and the waterfall is blitted, and also, or you can see that the edge is blitted when you go there, and also when you jump up. And so what is interesting is if you see something like these flowers, right? The flower is just a part of the map, the big one. The smaller one is animated, so that's why it's being blit. But this one here is just part of the map. There's no blitz there until you jump and club it, and then the animation for its destruction, the little explosion, that's blitted onto the screen. So you saw that. And other things that are blit is look at the bridge here, right? Each little piece of that is a blitter object because it animates while it goes down when you walk over it. So to see how the 8 directional scrolling works with the blitter, when I go down this hill, watch how it blits in tiles along this edge, and then also along the bottom edge at the same time. So we gotta watch right here. Yeah, see that? So that's how it's done. Okay, and something I noticed here, which I can't verify because the copper blocker also doesn't work in this game. It corrupts the screen, but I think this is true, is it has 7 colors in the foreground, right? Okay, so yeah, you've got 5 colors in one brick, and then also the blue for the water and the green for the leaves. So that would be 6, 7, and then with the pink it would be 8 and 9 actually for the bricks. So it's too many colors. So there has to be a trick. So this is the first part of the evidence. And then also when you're here, you'll see that if you're looking at the apples, right, there are different colors, but each of them are the same color on the same scan line, right? This one is red, this one is red, this one's yellow, this one's yellow, this one's green. So what I think is happening is that they are changing the colors in the foreground also um, at different scan lines. So they'd be changing it, it would be green colors available here, yellows available here, here's red. When you get to the waterfall, the blue will be available. So that's what I think. And also, if you notice the flowers, these flowers, both red. And then if you go over here, again, look at these apples. They're yellow, same scan line, also over here on the same screen, yellow, yellow, yellow. So you see these flowers are all red together. And these ones are different, but not on the same scan line, right? There's yellow up here, and then there's red here. You don't see a yellow and a red, or a red and a yellow on the same scan line like that. So I'm pretty sure from that evidence that they are also changing it in the foreground. So I wish the copper blocker worked so I could look at that, but it doesn't. But that is just my educated guess from seeing how Agony did it and Lionheart did it. So it's quite complicated. They'd have to have that all pre-calculated, and they'd have to make sure that they don't uh, put things in the wrong area. So despite all that, it still runs at 50 frames per second, as you can see over here. Um, yeah, so it's a really technically well-crafted game, and I think it looks really, really beautiful. Actually, I think the backgrounds are nicer looking than a lot of the Sonic ones, in my personal opinion. So one other little piece of evidence that I was looking for about the foreground colors is that you'll never see a colored brick where the water is, because it would take blue and another color. See, the blue is below it here, and then the last part I saw just over down here is, yeah, there's a colored brick, but then there's the water here, right? So you'd have to go through and look everywhere, but my guess is that you'll never find the water with the colored brick on the same scan line. And this is interesting too, is that even the bubbles are blitz. So I thought that was kind of cool. Even these one little pixel bubbles. All right, stop the presses. I got the copper blocker to work in a kind of a glitchy way, but I think I verified my theory here. So let's see. You can see, I don't know if this is going to come across well, but you see how the flowers here are red and the brick right now then is also red and the water is red. So the color, that index color, the red color is uh, being changed. So if I move this down, look, it just turned orange. The brick turned orange. So the red turned into orange. And then look, the water is also orange at this point. So, but then if we go past the orange brick right there, the water turns to blue. So the color, it was red up at the top, and then it switched it to orange, and then it switched it to blue. So that one color that they're playing around with is is being able to be changed. So they call that a copperized color, where you can change it with the copper throughout. And I was wondering about the green and the apples because even the red and the yellow apples have the green tops here. But then I realized that green is always available because it's being used for the grass. So there's always the green color in the palette. And so these green ones are free to make anywhere, but they just wanted to give more variety of just instead of every apple in the whole game being green, they made it so that you could also have yellow and red ones. So to give it more variety. So yep, so that is very cool. And so kudos to Magnetic Fields. Great work. So yeah, a great game, and I look forward to seeing Reassembler's Sonic version, hopefully within the next year. So thanks for watching again, and take care.